Critics roasting the Biden administration for claiming they are lowering gas prices. Really? The White House posted earlier this week, gas prices are down $1.70 from their peak just in time for holiday travel. Well, the backlash came out pretty quickly. One user posting, "Arsonist takes credit for putting out fire. Gas still isn't even close to what it was when Biden took office." Another with this one, "Almost nothing is more affordable, including gas, which is significantly more expensive." Now, according to AAA, the national average for a gallon of gas is $3.26. Now, while that is down from a month ago, it is still significantly higher from when Biden took office, when it was $2.39. Gene Marks, the Marks Group president and small business expert, joins me now. Okay, so yeah, what goes up must come down. So that's like saying, hey, I hit rock bottom and I'm doing better. I mean, there's no other way to go. So obviously it's got to go back up. Toward the end of President Trump's term in November 2020, AAA actually showed the national average was $2.11. Remember that bargain back then per gallon? And so I guess Bidenomics is flunking so badly that they have to look for some sort of silver lining. So I guess they found one, an increase or a decrease in a month.
It is really true, Julie. It's funny, too, even when the last segment that we heard, the guy from the Democratic Party was saying that, the price of a Thanksgiving meal is down 4.5% a year ago. One of the things that the Biden administration just misses is just how much more expensive, all things are since he took office. It's like it's being ignored. I did some digging on this. Average people are up 18%. Utilities are up 37%. The price of a house is up 33%. You want to buy bread. The cost of a loaf of bread is up 28% than when it was since President Biden, took office. And I cover small businesses as well. And my clients, Julie, they are seeing double-digit increases in the past 2-3 years in their core materials that they need to run their businesses, chemicals and packaging and freight and plastics. So it's not just prices might, have evened out over the past year. We're looking at the past 2-3 years, and both individuals and small businesses are still trying to get their arms around these significant price increases. It's a real headache for a lot of people, and I don't think the Biden administration sees that.
Yeah, and they love to tout that wages are up. But you know what? Wages being up doesn't make a darn bit of difference when you've got inflation and rising prices, which are astronomical since the Biden administration took office. So really, we're not doing any better, and those wage increases are, in fact, still leaving people in the red.
Wages are not up. Yeah, wages are not up 33%. You want to buy a loaf of bread, which is 28% higher than it was since he took office. Wages are not up to that level either. No. So, no, for the core stuff that we need to, to live and to enjoy our lives, the cost of living has gone up significantly under the Biden administration. I wish they would just admit that and come up with a rationale against that. But it's like it's being ignored.
I wish that you're right. I wish they would actually listen to the American people, not only admit it, but actually listen to the American people. A Fox News poll actually asked people what they thought of the condition of the economy, and excellent or good, only 20% of voters actually believe that our economy is doing well. Okay, so that's 20%. 78% saying only fair or poor. 78%. That is a huge slough of this country that the Biden administration seems to be ignoring.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just a credibility issue, Julie. When I think about, you have such a great answer. You can be like, we had a once in a lifetime, once in a 100-year global pandemic that interrupts supply chains and had an impact on prices. Even though the fact that a lot of these increases have to do with, Biden's spending, legislation, you could still come up with a narrative saying that, a lot of these price increases were due to some circumstances out of our control. We did make some mistakes, but it's like it's being ignored. There's others that they keep tweeting out about the number of jobs that the Biden administration has created since it took office. And remember, they took office in the midst of the end of a pandemic when there were just tens of millions of people unemployed. So every job being added back was just jobs that came back from the pandemic. But the president's taking credit as if he created those jobs. And I think the American people look at that stuff and they just shake their hand and say, that just makes no sense to me.
No, it's refilling an empty bucket. That's what you're doing. And that's not something to pat yourself on the back about. Black Friday, by the way, the traditional start to the holiday shopping season. But the purse strings may be a bit tighter this year to be expected. The National Retail Federation is only expecting a 3 to 4% spending increase over last year. That is down from 2022's 5.4% jump and much lower than the massive spike of more than 13% the year before. There's a senior industry analyst at Bankrate that says this: if inflation is high and your grocery bill is up and your rent is up and everything else is up, that has people in a frugal mood this holiday season. That's exactly what you and I were just talking about, because everything is up. Everything is more expensive.
Yeah, the holiday season sales, I think, are going to be not as spectacular as people are even thinking about. Certainly not what they were, in the past. And Julie, I have to tell you, I am concerned about the consumer in the months to come. The consumer has been the one that's been driving GDP growth, particularly in the last quarter. But I am seeing such warning signs about consumer growth. Auto loan delinquencies now are at a 30-year high.
Oh, wow. Consumer
confidence is like at historical lows. Credit card delinquencies are spiking. I mean, you hear even, the CEOs of some of our major banks, Jamie Dimon and Jane Fraser and Charles Scharf, just in recent earnings releases, are all saying that they're concerned about the consumer. They're seeing some cracks, in consumer delinquencies. And even the people running the largest retails, Target and Home Depot and Macy's, also saying that they are seeing softening demand. So, the holiday season will probably be okay, not as great as it was in the past, but I'm looking into 2024, and I'm getting very, very concerned about consumer spending, and I think that's going to be a problem for the economy.
I'm glad you brought up auto loans defaulting, because it's not only auto loans, it's mortgages. I mean, people who had interest-only loans that you can't even get anymore, those interest-only loans are fully amortizing, and then they're hitting the current interest rate. A lot of people can't afford those major hikes. Some advice for those who are going through that: call your bank, ask for a modification, because they don't want you to default on your loan and foreclose. Is that something that people could do? Because these mortgage
100%.
interest rates for those who are hitting fully amortized loans are a disaster.
So glad you brought that up. So if you're an individual and you think that there is a problem in paying your mortgage, you absolutely should be talking to your banker now, because bankers will renegotiate or help you refinance your loan so you can make it happen. The other thing I do want to say, one of the bright spots of high inflation and high interest rates is that, interest rates on savings are also as high as they've been in a long, long time. So if you do have any extra savings, please, put it into a money market account or buy a certificate of deposit where you can get, 5.5% return. That's a really good way to take advantage of this inflationary world and, hopefully put a few extra dollars in your pocket.
Good point. All right, Gene Marks, great to see you. Thank you very, very much, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too, Julie. Take care.